Okay, so in this tutorial we're going to be looking at synthesis, in particular subtractive synthesis. So generally there's always going to be three elements in a subtractive synth, that is a sound source, a filter and an amplifier. So the filter shapes the sound and the amplifier adjusts the level of the sound as it's played via either an envelope or an LFO, which I'll elaborate on further. So to give the sound animation, you need to change settings in these elements to affect the note as the sound is played. And I'll demonstrate this through the use of operator as an instrument in Ableton. So we'll just head to Instruments and Operator, double click, I'll bring that up on a new track, and that's available down here. Perfect, so we've got on this side of the operator, we've got 4 different oscillators, which are our sound sources for the synth. So they can be turned on and off with these buttons. If it's on, it'll obviously need level to operate, which can be adjusted here. And the frequency at which it will be played would be dependent on what you're hitting on your MIDI keyboard, unless you hit the fixed guy here, which you can define with the frequency knob as to what frequency you'd like the synth to play at. Excellent. So this window in the middle shows all of the information pertaining to the different elements we're looking at in the synth. So if I head over here, we've also got the filter. Actually, just a moment, we'll get back to the oscillator and check out these. So within the oscillator, we've got an envelope and an oscillator. The oscillator lets us know the waveform of the oscillator. So at the moment, it's a sine wave at 65.2 Hertz. So if we want to try something different, like a saw, or maybe a square waveform, you can try to go for whichever sound is going to suit the song that you're creating. So that's the oscillator, and then we've got the envelope, and that shapes the amplitude of the sound as it moves through. So with a short attack time, you're going to have a punchier sound where it responds immediately. If you slow that down, I might just change that back to a sine to make it a bit more obvious. And I'm going to fix it on about 95. Cool. So the envelope here, we've got a short attack time, so it's pretty responsive. If I slow that down, it takes a little while, it sort of gradually eases into it. And similar for the sustain, if you've got it at 0 milliseconds, it will cut off abruptly, and that will sort of generate a more on-off approach as you hit the key, whereas if you give that a little bit more time, that'll linger on. So you go from sort of a punchy sound to more of a pad-like sound. So another part of the synth is the filter. So over here we've got our filter, specifically with subtractive synthesis. The filter purely attenuates different frequencies as opposed to adding any in. So if we look at the window here with the information pertaining to the filter, we can adjust these different parameters. So the kind of filter that you want to use, a low pass filter or a high pass filter, typical kind of analog filters that we're familiar with, a notch. I'm going to use a low pass filter because I'm creating a kick drum sound. And so we've got the cutoff frequency and also the resonance of the cutoff. So if you want to boost at the cutoff just to accentuate the roll off, that can be done either adjusting this orange ball here or adjusting it using these knobs. So we should be able to hear the difference as I make changes to it. Awesome. And these are different drivers of the filter, so you can sort of fatten it up. So that's without. And with the filter. And then we've got the envelope. So the impact of the filter is also influenced by the filter envelope. which controls the cutoff frequency. So it adds interest by shifting the tone of the sound over time. Over here we have the LFO. The LFO, or the low frequency oscillator, oscillates at a frequency that's lower than audible to the human ear, or the range of the human hearing. So it acts to modulate different destinations of the synth to continuously modify the sound and create interest. So it doesn't create sound by itself, but it goes between two states of either on or off, and can either modulate the pitch of the oscillator, which is referred to as vibrato, or the amplitude of the oscillator, which is the tremolo, which is often referred to as tremolo. So if we have a look at that and then turn it on, you can hear that it's modulating the pitch. So over here we've got destination. It defaults to all of the oscillators, and up there you can see 100%. It's going to impact on the oscillators that are switched on, so given that we're not using those, you can hear it oscillate. So these two parameters affect the vibrato effect on oscillating the pitch of the oscillator. So if I turn that up, it ups the speed of the modulation or the amount. And you can also play with different waveforms. So a square will have more of an on-off effect. Like that. Now we can also send the LFO to the second destination, which is going to modulate the amplitude of the oscillator. So if I switch that off and turn this on, you can actually send the LFO to a lot of different destinations, but given that the oscillator A is active at the moment, we'll send it there and see how that sounds. And you can see over here the level is going up and down, so the amplitude is modulating aligned with the LFO. Okay, so the pitch envelope is basically a diagram here, a line defining the pitch over time. And to ensure that it's on, you've obviously got to have it switched on and have allocated a percentage of it that indicates the impact of the pitch envelope on the synth sound. So that needs to have a little bit of level to have any impact. Cool. So to do a quick overview of what we've gone through in this tune and maybe finalise this kick drum sound. We've got the kick on fixed because I don't want it to change depending on the keys. When I have it consistent. I'm just going to turn these off for now. So I'm going to keep it about just around 90, just over 90 Hertz. Cool. So in this section here, I've got a fast attack, and I'm going to change the loop mode. We'll put it at trigger, so it just pays attention to the attack and decay time, just to keep it pretty straightforward, because that's all I need for the kick. So that's obviously taking a bit long. I'll shorten it. It's a bit short. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to start adding in a few of these elements to see how they affect the kick sound. The pitch envelope, as we've discussed, defines the pitch over time. So if we give our attack the initial boost of 48 semitones, it has the effect of sweeping down to the fundamental pitch. So the longer the decay time on this envelope, the longer it'll take for that sweep. So if I make it shorter, it kind of has the effect of sucking into the fundamental frequency and making it punchier for the drum. Cool. So now here on the filter, I'm just going to double check we're happy with what we've got. If we want to fatten it up a bit. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Awesome. So we've got ourselves a subtractive synthesis kick. And if I want to record that into a MIDI track, I can just record enable the track here, which operator is on, and set record and then play along. And we've got ourselves a banger. Let's have a look at that. If I play along, do we have ourselves a banger? Awesome. Cool. Okay, thanks very much.